My name is Ethan Cox, and I'm a political science student at Concordia University in Montreal. For me, leadership is all about vision, about seeing the country both as it is and as it should be. A great Prime Minister needs to have a bold vision for how to make Canada a stronger country. Unfortunately, in recent years, our Prime Ministers have been more concerned with short-term partisan gain than with the long-term good of the country. As Canada's next great Prime Minister, I would immediately implement two policies to make Canada stronger. The first of which is to implement a system of proportional representation. In our last federal election, we saw an all-time low in voter turnout. To me, that speaks to a population which is increasingly disenfranchised and disconnected from the democratic process. One of the primary reasons, I think, for that is that in our elections under the first-past-the-post system, most people's votes don't actually count. They vote in ridings where the outcome is predetermined long before the election ever happens. And many people decide not to vote because their vote won't make a difference. In order to fix that, I would implement a simple system of proportional representation by adding about 50 to 100 seats to the House of Commons, which would be allocated in such a way as to make sure that each party's share of the seats in the House of Commons matches their share of the popular vote. The second policy that I would implement would be to make a massive reinvestment in education. Canada is, as our Prime Ministers are so fond of telling us, a knowledge-based economy. In order to succeed in this globally driven economy, people are increasingly required to have higher levels of skill and education. In order to make sure that education at the post-secondary level is accessible to all Canadians, I think that we should have free post-secondary education. This will ensure that all Canadians have the equal opportunity to get into university and to be able to succeed without having to worry about what's in their bank account. I think that these two policies will make Canada a stronger country economically, politically, and socially.
Free education is not a pipe dream. People will tell you that it's impossible, but countries around the world, such as Norway, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Australia, all have completely free post-secondary education, which stimulates their economies. It's this simple. A better educated workforce commands higher salaries, pays higher taxes, and stimulates the economy. I would envision a plan to implement a Canada Education Act, which would mirror the visionary qualities of the Canada Health Act by imposing a dedicated federal transfer payment which would be made available to the provinces, contingent on their agreement to charge no tuition or fees of any kind to students for education. Ultimately, it comes down to this. What kind of a Canada do you want to live in? One where access to higher education is restricted to the well-off and those able to shoulder the crushing burden of debt that goes with it? Or one where a student's merit, rather than their bank account balance, determines access to higher education? One where most voters are disenfranchised, disinterested, and disillusioned with the democratic process because their votes don't directly change anything or affect the outcome of elections, or one where every single vote counts and every voter is able to contribute to the election of a member of their preferred party. My Canada is a just and fair society, one that strives for social justice, political equality, and economic and environmental sustainability.